Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so morning, folks. Welcome to our regular meeting for March 22nd. Those that are here, those that may be watching online, or those reviewing the tapes, or I guess digitals later. Before we begin, Mr. Keene, could you give us the invocation and lead us in the pledge?
Our God and Father, hallowed be your name. I confess I do not understand the whole dimensions of your holiness. But with Easter approaching, I am reminded that you built a bridge between our flawed nature and your holiness, and that bridge is the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. We ask that your guidance would be upon our county and the leaders. Give them wisdom beyond their own capacity, and that they may lead our county and continue to lead it in a good direction. May you be honored by what we do in the days ahead. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Ready, it's 9:02. Amanda, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
All righty. We have a quorum. First order of business we have is to approve the agenda before us.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. First item of business we have is the items on consent. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the items on consent as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, elected officials, department head, staff reports. Do you have any elected officials? Sherry, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sherry Hewlett, Elbert County Treasurer and Public Trustee. So I'm sure everyone here in the room and watching has heard about the recent bank failures. And having said that, Chris had asked me if I would mind just kind of going over our financial portfolio and how all that works. We currently have an account at Community Banks of Colorado, and that's the treasurer's main working account. That's where everything comes in and goes out as far as tax distribution, departmental deposits, and things like that. Since they moved to Elizabeth, I opened an account here at Farmers State Bank, and that's mainly to be able to deposit our cash there easily instead of driving to Elizabeth every day, and then I just move the cash out. Both of those accounts are required by state law. Well, we're insured with the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, up to $250,000. But over and above that, you need additional insurance. So that's where the Public Deposit Protection Act comes into play. And banks are required by law to pledge 102% of anything over and above that $250,000. So the auditors check that every year when they do their annual audit and make sure that those numbers are in place. Community Banks of Colorado actually pledges 105%, so we have a 3% buffer there. We have some investments with a company called Peak Investments, and they're mainly certificates of deposit. None of those certificates of deposits are over the $250,000, so we're insured with them through FDIC. We have, I think the longest maturity date is through 2025, and we will revisit that and try to get a lower term and hopefully a higher interest rate at that time. And then Colo Trust, we've been with Colo Trust for years, since I started here. We have 2 accounts with them. One's a general fund, which we have access to that money immediately, and one is called an Edge account. And I opened that one. It's not a long-term account. If we wanted to withdraw money out of that account, it would be a 7-day turnaround. I don't want to keep all of our money tied up where we don't have access to it, but we want to, try to earn as much interest as we can. All of our accounts are interest-bearing. Community Banks of Colorado and Farmer State Bank, we don't earn a lot of interest there. It's less than 1%, which goes to figure. I'm working with Farmer State Bank. They're trying to hopefully get a higher interest rate on a 12-month certificate of deposit. So I'm in constant contact with Greg over there, the branch manager. So he's going to let me know on that as soon as possible. So in talking to Greg, because, when you hear these bank failures, I wouldn't assume, most people here are like, okay, where's the county's money and what happened and things like that. And what he kind of explained to me is those bigger banks, like in California and New York, they take higher risks, and they deal in cryptocurrency, and we know how all that played out with the one gentleman. And so I think the depositors panicked, and they started withdrawing the money. Well, that would have been all fine and good if they had insurance, and those banks didn't have any insurance, so that's why they failed. Rest assured, I'm very comfortable. That's one thing when I became treasurer was my biggest anxiety, I would say, making sure the money's, our investments are secure, and that's one thing we look at is yield and safety and liquidity, so that, we can have access to our money, earn a little bit of interest, and make sure it's safe. So I have a good relationship with these folks. I can pick up the phone. We email each other regularly. I get statements. So I'm very confident, and I want the citizens and you as the board to feel comfortable and that our deposits are secure. And Farmer State Bank is just a local bank. They have 3 other branches: Ellicott, Falcon, and Calhan. Community Banks of Colorado, they kind of branch out a little bit, but they're secure, and their deposits are safe too. They're following all the laws they need to. The PDPA report that the banks have to fill out are done monthly, and if, for instance, we got, let's say, $1 million wire into one of our accounts, they would immediately look at that and make sure that we're totally secured with that additional, let's say, $1 million. Okay? All of Greg at Farmer State Bank, Kathy Mitchley from Community Banks of Colorado, and I'm sure the folks at Colo Trust would be willing, if you wanted a slideshow presentation or whatever, to come talk to you more. There's a lot of information out there, really, when I got to looking into it. It's a lot. So just keep that in mind if you ever want a more in-depth presentation, or if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, or I've got a lot of information here. But rest assured, like I said, our money's safe and trying to earn as much interest as we can. It's up to a little over 4% in most cases. Back during COVID, as you know, we weren't hardly getting anything, but now it's back up, and hopefully that'll continue.
Thank you. You got questions or comments? No, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Just really appreciate it. Know you're on top of it, and
Yeah.
it should give assurances to all the county and the citizens and employees. So appreciate your efforts on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, facilities. Hello, Bobby. How goes?
Bobby Chevrolet, Facilities. Good morning, Commissioners. It's our monthly update on projects with the Road and Bridge Shop and projects throughout the county. So as everyone knows, the project budget was $12 million for the Road and Bridge Shop. To date, we've spent $5 million, $886,557 out of that. Those expenditures are going to be going up. We're making a lot of progress, so we'll start seeing more bills. So through the month of March, our structure is complete. Our wall panels are about 95% completed. The roof will be done by this weekend, so that's big progress for us. Those guys have been working through the wind and cold, and it's really amazing how much they've gotten done. Our underground plumbing and electrical should be done by the end of the week in the building. So we're moving right along there. Mother Nature's been helping us out, giving us some nice days where we can keep the ground thawed out. That's been our biggest challenge. We're getting ready to install the mezzanine for the HVAC equipment. So should happen here in the next week or two. All the material is here. We're just trying to get a few things buttoned up to where we can get going on that. They're starting in the maintenance shop portion. They're starting the fine grading, getting ready to start setting their rebar so they can pour that slab. So that should be here in a week or so when we start seeing some concrete. And then the salt sand shed, we've got the footers poured. They're forming the walls. They're hoping to pour that next week, Wednesday to be exact. So if the weather holds out and helps us, we'll have salt sand shed walls. Let's see, we've tapped into the town water, got that done. So we're just waiting on a few parts to finish that line across the road. The line is in, the line is to the building. Everything's there. We're just waiting on some valves and stuff to come in. So here in the next couple of weeks, we should have that part done. Goals for April, obviously we're going to try to get all the slabs poured, get all of our doors, overhead doors, walk-through doors, everything on the exterior so we can be fully dried in, windows, that sort of stuff too. Once those slabs are poured, they'll start framing in the admin area. That's our big push right now, is to stay on time, is to get that admin area. That's where the most work needs to be done. So we're going to keep going on that. So that's kind of where we're at with the road and bridge shop. We've got some other projects going on just with the regular county facilities. We went out to bid for the admin parking lot. So questions are due tomorrow, and then the bids will be due in a week or so. So that's kind of a big deal for this parking lot. It really needs the help. We're still shoring up some specs and stuff like that to get the HVAC in this building. So we should be finishing that up here in a week or so and get that out to bid so we kind of can get rolling on that. The facility shop we're going to be building up at the fairgrounds, just a little 30 by 50 shop. We've got all those plans in. We went out to bid for the foundations. So we've awarded a bidder for that. We've got one bid in to erect the building, but the other three companies we reached out to, I haven't seen anything yet, so I'm trying to wait on that and see if I can get some more interest there before I choose. I hate to just go with one bid, but sometimes out here, as you guys know, that's all we get sometimes. Let's see, and then finishing up the campground. We've got the west fence. Core was out last week. We've got all of that set. When that work's going to take place, it's maybe about the 1st of June. There will be setting transformers. We've got to do a little work over there for the HHS so we can meter it separately, and a new transformer there. So that's all set to be done. I've got the contractor's wheels in motion to start doing our trenching for the rest of the water and electrical lines. That shouldn't take very long. We've got the majority of it done. So
Well before fair then.
yes, yeah. Yes, we won't be coming down to the day before fair like we did last year. So that's all I got.
Well, thank you. Any questions for Bobby? Or no? Thanks. I know.
Just a curiosity question. The Public Works building, when do you expect it to be all done?
To be all done and moved in, we're looking at the end of September, 1st of October. So we're about a month behind schedule. The winter, the weather's just been hard and slowed us down, so, but that's the date. So,
Had 80 years in the old building, I guess another month.
yeah,
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Tiffany?
Hi, Tiffany Hermes, Finance Manager. I would like to discuss the early payoff of Foxwood Estates bonds. The original Foxwood Estates and Foxwood Ranches Public Improvement District was signed in January of 2005. At the signing, there were two bonds, one due in 2023 and one in 2029. The scheduled bond amount due in 2023 is $20,000 and will be paid off this year. And the outstanding bond for 2029 is $40,000. According to the approved bond schedule, the amount owed as of 2023 would be $155,000. Through approved budgets, the county has reduced the bond principal and interest by $115,000, saving the county roughly $25,000 in interest. In an effort to save the county and taxpayers more dollars, the Finance Department recommends paying the remaining bond balance to save the county an additional $5,000, a total of roughly $30,000 in taxpayer dollars. I would also like to note that Foxwood is expected to have a fund balance of about $11,000 at the end of this year as well. So we would like to move that to processing. We have two amounts, a payoff date as of May 1 and as of June 1st. So if we would like to move forward with that, we can discuss and let me know what you are looking for.
Thank you, Tiffany. You got anything? Or?
No, I think.
Yeah, I think just moving forward, and I know we have to give them a 30-day notice, and
Yes.
with our meeting schedule, I think if we shoot for
June.
the 1 June and then the next two meetings, we can get just the solid numbers together. And I guess you had indicated that if we proceed on this, obviously, we're going to have to adjust the budget.
Yes, we will have to have a supplemental appropriation.
So we can try to work all that. And I know there's a notice required for that piece if we
Yes.
want to do the supplemental concurrently with, or I guess we can,
Yeah.
I guess next time we discuss what's the best with that. Are there other supplementals we're looking at, or if we want to take them as we generate them, or
Okay.
do a mid-year and end of year, just let us know. And congratulations on your new position as finance manager.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Just a quick question. We have fund balances to pay all of this off, so that we're not going into any county money. It's just money that's already set aside for this.
We have the $20,000 in the approved budget for the regular 2023, and then yes, we will dip into fund balance to cover the remaining for this year, above and beyond what is already in 84 fund balance.
All righty. Thanks.
Thank you.
No, it's good news, and, I know that assessment rates and lots of things with property taxes are definitely in flux this year, so if we can get some mills off of some of our communities, that would be helpful, so. All righty, so at this point, we'll open up for open public comment. Excuse me? Oh, Sean, sorry, thank you. I know you had a meeting with the auditors yesterday.
May 22nd for the beginning of the audit starting, and then that should put us in line to complete end of July to make the file date for the state. So we're on track.
Alrighty, that's good to hear. Anything for Sean? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so with that, we'll move to open public comment. This is an opportunity for anybody that's got a topic to discuss or information they'd want to provide us that's not on the agenda for today. We do take public comment in various ways. Folks can email it to the clerk to the board. They can ask to be called or be present in the room. Amanda, did we have anybody with email comment or requests to call?
No.
Thank you. Then we'll go to the room. Is there anybody here that's got anything they'd like to share with us today? Welcome back.
I just wanted to, Carrie Giblets, 19656 Wiedemeyer Road, Elbert County Environmental Alliance. And I just wanted to thank you, commissioners, and you, Mr. Greer, for the letter that the county attorney sent to Excel. As you know, we've had a lot of reports of homeowners being harassed or contacted by Excel. So we wanted to thank you for taking that step, and we wondered if you had received any response from Excel to that letter. We also, ECEA has contracted to have some signs made, no trespassing signs that are specific to Excel, their contractors and affiliates. So we hope to have those available to residents this week, if that helps the matter any. We're also wondering if you've received an application from Excel yet, or a request for a pre-application meeting. So, thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment. And in answer to your questions, I know I haven't received a response. Have you, Bart?
Nor have I.
Okay.
I'm not aware of any response up to this point. So I'll definitely keep the board aware of any response that we.
Thank you. Yeah. And as of this point, we haven't received an application or even a contact to set up a pre-application meeting. So, thanks. Anything you guys want to add?
Just a comment. What Chris said is right, but I went to a Douglas County, Elbert County Cattlemen's Association meeting here the other day, and there were several people that were at that meeting that said that they'd had either Excel people or Excel contractors on their land, and it was after that we put that letter together.
All righty. We have nothing on for discussion today. Several action items. First is consideration of the March 8th, 2023 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the March 8th, 2023 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the March 8th minutes and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second item is, and third will be also minutes. We had a hearing that rolled into March 9th. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from March 9th, 2023 as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 9th hearing session and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. And then we have another set of minutes from March 13th.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the March 13th, 2023 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the March 13th minutes and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Aye.
Oop. Sorry,
I was moving ahead.
Alrighty, so the next up we have is consideration of approval of the Office of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Plan. OEM Director Shane Pines presented that. We discussed it at our last meeting. As far as I understand from him, there's been nobody that's submitted any recommendations for changes, so I think we're in a position where we can approve the plan that was presented.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the Office of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Plan as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the Office of Emergency Management Hazard Mitigation Plan. Any discussion?
I'll make a quick comment. I had going through this on a lot of the different possible problems, hazards that may account. There's an underlying section on the effects of climate change, which I have a little bit of issue with the underlying assumption. I talked to Mr. Pines about that, and it's kind of following the template of what the federal government is requiring. So for us to have our plan in place as required, we have to go along with it, but not all we're happy with that part.
I'm in agreement, but we'll second it anyway.
Any comment in the room? Okay, seeing none, yeah, said I agree. I think that was a requirement of the grant funding that supported the development of the plan, that it have certain sections. And, but we have a motion and a second, and I think discussion was complete. So I would ask that anybody, all that approve, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. There are pieces of this that, at least for mitigating future hazards that do impact on our planning of subdivisions. So, Sean, if you could get with Shane and Mark and just ask that at least the points that support planning of communities is a way to mitigate hazards, that the Planning Commission get a kind of an update on that and take a look at our regulations and see if there are either pieces of the regulation or supporting plans that would prevent our own little Marshall fire.
Okay.
Thanks. Alrighty, the next action item we have, the final one for the day, is regarding authorizing the transfer of a piece of property from the county to Rattlesnake Fire. I know, Bart, you've been working on this. If you could kind of just give us a background.
Sure, yeah. Bart Greer, County Attorney. The background on this is that the county owns a parcel of land that is next to the Rattlesnake Fire Protection District, one of their properties. And they've had permission or utilized that facility or that parcel of property in the past for training purposes. My understanding, primarily for arson investigations and those sorts of things. So important work, obviously, to train our firefighters and investigators in that. But there is some liability associated with it being a county property with non-county entities doing something like that. That being said, I think everybody recognizes the value in that sort of training and skill set continuing in the county. And so we looked at what we could do in order to facilitate that. And one of those things was a transfer of that property to the Fire Protection District itself, which would mitigate a lot of those concerns. So that's something that we looked into. That was something that the board asked us to do. And we have the paperwork that would allow for that. Technically, under statute, I think if we're divesting ourselves of that property, we need to have the approval of the board. And so the paperwork is there. I guess at this point, I'd simply ask for approval from the board to provide the authority for the county manager to sign that paperwork, and we can officially transfer the ownership of that property to the Rattlesnake Fire Protection District.
I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the county manager to enter into a parcel conveyance to Rattlesnake Protection District. And just as a comment there, the Rattlesnake has been using this particular piece of land for many years. So there's really no fundamental change in the use of the property. It's just a matter of having the right legal documents to facilitate their use and limiting the county's liability.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay. Any public comment on this? Yeah, I'd agree with Grant. It's a parcel that's immediately adjacent to the fire house that's on 186. It's been used regularly. I guess in the past historically just on a handshake deal. They presented a little more formal letter, so there was some documentation, and that kind of spurred kind of the discussion of, do we even need to have agreements on paper for something that they're going to clearly continue to use and benefits the folks in the county. So I think it's the right thing to do. So we have a motion and a second, and discussion has been completed. I just ask that all in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, that concludes our action items for the day. For board planning, I think in upcoming meetings we'll discuss the details of paying off of Foxwood Estates and potential approval to do so, and adjust the budget to ensure the funding's available. I guess that was the big one that came out of today. I know there'll be some others. Just for planning purposes, I understand Commissioner Schroeder will be out of state for the second meeting of next month, so probably take a look at any potential land use that we have where there'll only be 2 commissioners, that if they want to go forward they can, or we can reschedule or continue anything. Anything you guys have? Yeah, so we'll shape up, I guess, more than one item for an agenda, but that's what we got for.
Had something.
Yeah.
I have one item that
Oh, yes.
possibly coming up either the first or second meeting of April, and it's a brand new liquor license for an entertainment district. They're currently the Patch in Elizabeth, and so it will be for them, so that should be coming up soon.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that, we did have just a letter to ratify that we had sent in support of the town of Kiowa getting some monies from CDOT to address the sidewalk issues they have here in town. So there was a deadline on that for Friday of this week, so we'll at least ratify it after the fact. Yeah, so with that, we have nothing planned. We have no hearings planned for land use this afternoon, so there's no further business today for the board, so I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. We're adjourned. It's 9:33.